It's March, but there is a different type of madness. I'm Tim Kelly, along with Rosie Langello, the two foremost experts on Kanye West Madness, which has distracted millennials from our jobs, educations, and any other responsibilities. Rosie, they say the country's pretty divided, but this has Americans the most united that I've seen since the solar eclipse or one of those type of events, so this has been pretty awesome.
Yeah, Twitter blew up yesterday. I'm a little mad I was late to the party. However, it's created such traction online that it's great. I mean, it definitely distracted me from my job last night a little bit. So I'm so excited to go over this with you today, Tim. It's been so long since we've done a podcast together.
It has been a while, and to tell you the truth, I didn't expect that our next one would be a Kanye West bracket podcast, but here we are with an unnamed podcast, and to be honest with you, I think Kanye West is like the perfect person to do this because I've seen it with Drake and people are making like different types of these brackets now. It was a really good idea, but Kanye, he's such a polarizing figure because some people love every album, some people only love the first three, some people think My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is the greatest album in hip-hop history, and then some people think that's like his fifth best album. So it is like an interesting debate. In any event, we'll start in the Chicago section of the bracket with the number one seed, Jesus Walks, against Murder to Excellence. Murder to Excellence, awesome song, Watch the Throne, awesome album, but Jesus Walks to me is like the clear-cut winner of that matchup.
Of course, totally agree with you. Let's move on. Okay,
so then we go to Street Lights, probably one of the lesser-known songs off 808s on this countdown against We Don't Care. We Don't Care to me takes it. College Dropout's my favorite Kanye album, so that one was relatively easy for me. But according to this, that was actually a 9 seed beating an 8 seed.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to have to disagree. I'm going to go with Street Lights here. Just because I've never really felt the vibe with We Don't Care. I don't know. There's something about it. I was just like, nah, I'm going to leave it where it is.
Okay. So the next one, We Major against 30 Hours. Now, in just about every case, like, I'm going to go old Kanye over new Kanye. This is going to be one of the exceptions, though, because 30 Hours has, like, one of the greatest instrumentals ever. And the end of the song where Kanye's talking about, I'm about to drive 100 miles like Matt Barnes. Like, that's just, like, that's why I love Kanye. Like, it felt like an old Kanye song. So, I don't know. I really, like, vibed with that song.
30 Hours, I also agree. I am maybe one of the few people that think St. Pablo, or Life of Pablo, is just one of... I just think it's a great album. I'm sorry, but I just don't think it got enough credit. We'll talk about that later, but I'm going to go with 30 Hours.
We will talk about that later. Now, the one song that has gotten probably as much credit as any other Kanye song, both of these songs really, Stronger is a number 4 seed against Black Skinhead, and Black Skinhead's like one of those songs that people might not know the actual song, but everybody knows the instrumental because it's been beat to death in Apple commercials, and I don't even know if it's Apple, like those type of phone commercials and stuff like that in the background. And it like reminds you of how great of a producer Kanye was before becoming Kanye. So it's an easy decision for Stronger, but I kind of think Black Skinhead probably should have been a slightly higher seed.
I agree that it should have been slightly higher. I would probably made that a 9 seed, but I'm gonna go with Stronger here too.
So one of the deceptively difficult matchups on this is Gold Digger, which is number 6. I'm actually surprised that wasn't a slightly higher seed, but I also kind of think it's overrated against number 11, Gotta Have It, which is one of my favorite songs off of Watch the Throne, and it's also Kanye was the better person in that song. So I had a difficult time with this, ultimately because I love Jamie Foxx and because, I don't know, Gold Digger is just like one of those songs when you think of our childhoods, like Gold Digger is one of the songs that if it comes on at the bar, like everybody sings it. So you have to go with that. Yeah. It's an iconic music video, but it was a difficult choice.
No, it was definitely a difficult choice, but I think Gold Digger has definitely been beat to death so many times. And like you said, with our childhood, it was always on. I agree, Jamie Foxx is great in it, but Gotta Have It for sure. That to me, that was kind of a no-brainer because Gotta Have It is it's great.
Okay, that's an interesting one. Like, I listened to an interview one time with Kanye where he was talking about he had no idea why Gold Digger was one of the like popular songs. And I mean, obviously, he did a little bit because he made a music video for it. It was the radio song. Like, he had a pretty good idea this was going to sell successfully. I don't know. It's just like, it's a fun song. I guess that would be the way to go about it. But I think you could have gone either way on that, to be honest with you. Now, the next one is Slow Jams against No More Parties in LA.
So hard.
This one was a lot more difficult than it probably should have been. I'm a huge Kendrick Lamar fan. Like, the fact that there was a point where Kendrick Lamar opened for Kanye West on his Yeezus tour, even though I didn't like Yeezus, we'll get more into that. It was after Good Kid, Mad City, which is, like, to me, the most iconic album of our adult life so far. It's just the fact that was a concert and I didn't get my shit together enough to go to it. That'll always bother me. But those two are like a cool... Oh, yeah. They're cool together, but Slow Jams is a classic song.
Oh, of course. Slow Jams all the way. And I really like No More Parties in LA. I had a roommate from LA who I live with in Chicago, and that was just... She played that song over and over again, so I think that's why I'm picking Slow Jams. I love her, though. Don't get me wrong, but I definitely had to just go Slow Jams here.
When all the singles were coming out for Life of Pablo, or what, like, it had like 17 different names before it was Life of Pablo, but when all the singles were coming out for that, No More Parties in LA, when that song dropped, I was kind of expecting Kanye's past his prime Yeezus I really didn't care for, I'm not gonna like this, like, that's when that and Real Friends, I'm like, oh man, Kanye might be back on something a little bit.
I agree with. When Real Friends came on, I thought the same thing. But you know what also? I absolutely loved Fade. When he played that song, I was sitting in a library at Bloomsburg, and I was watching him play the singles, or he was playing the album live. I forget where he did it. I think it was Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, it was.
And he played Fade, and I looked at Ryan, my boyfriend, and I was like, wow, this song is great. Like, I was just jamming to it. But I agree that Real Friends, and obviously No More Parties in LA off that album are great.
We'll get to Fade. I believe Fade's on here. But we'll get to that in a little bit. But honestly, it took me a little while to get into that song. Like, Real Friends and No More Parties in LA were the first ones that I really got into on that album. They were singles, so that would make sense. Now, Say You Will is a number 7 seed against Good Morning. Good Morning is slept on, but it's also, like, Graduation is not Kanye West's best album. If somebody tells you that, they don't really know his catalog that well. But, like, it's not his best album, but it's, like, kind of his coronation. It's his Graduation, A. And then it's kind of the point where he released the album the same day as 50 Cent. There's a great article on Complex from a while ago about how that day kind of changed the direction of rap, how it went from the 50 Cent style rap, and 50 Cent was awesome, to what we have today. So Good Morning's the opening song on that album, and the instrumental's incredible. And yeah, I'd go with Good Morning.
Yep, I'm going right there with you. Good Morning as well.
That was one of the easier ones in the countdown. Now, Power for sure. Then goes against Father Stretch My Hands Part 1. I'm not sure how Father Stretch My Hands is only a 15C because...
15C, I know!
It's like the all-time great song that comes on at a frat and white people go, this is my shit, because they're so happy, like, 1 out of every 10 rap songs they know. So, and so honestly, true. I think Power's a little bit overrated. Like, the first verse is insane, and the instrumental is obviously, like, iconic at sporting events everywhere else, but it's still good enough to make it past this round. Like, Father Stretch My Hands, the beginning of the song is incredible. The rapping part with the bleach, we don't even get into details, it's, like, funny, but it's not one of his better rap verses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to have to disagree with you. I'm definitely going Father Stretch My Hands.
Okay, so you have
I have to do that. I saw him do that live in Chicago, and it was insane. I still get chills when I think about it. So I like Power. Don't get me wrong. Every time I work out, I listen to it because it's a great pump-up song. But that beginning part of Father Stretch My Hands, I mean, oh my gosh. How could you not pick that one, Tim? We're just going to have to disagree on that.
The beginning is iconic, and this is one of my favorite parts about just listening to music, and like going back, and I was listening to just the song that's sampled from, and it's like it's a church song. Like, he turned that into a song where he talks about bleaching areas of a woman's body and getting it on his t-shirt. Like, that's so Kanye. But, yeah. So then the second round, obviously our matchups are going to be a little bit different. I have, for my first matchup in the Chicago bracket, Jesus Walks versus We Don't Care. I moved along Jesus Walks. Then I go 30 Hours against Stronger. Tough decision, tougher than it probably should have been, but Stronger moves ahead. We have Gold Digger against Slow Jams, which was probably one of the weaker second-round matchups. I go Gold Digger. And then Good Morning against Power, I go with the upset with Good Morning winning. So that's up to my Elite Eight, I believe.
Okay, so you have Good Morning winning.
I don't have Good Morning winning the bracket, but it makes a run, I'll put it that way.
Oh, man. See, all right, you're definitely going to disagree with me on this. I have Father Stretch My Hands.
You have Father Stretch My Hands winning the entire section of the bracket?
Yep,
okay.
I do.
No, I mean, I don't know. Probably still would have lost a Good Morning for me. So I could easily see it getting out of the first round. It should have been a higher seed, obviously. So if it had been a higher seed, it could have been an entire another section and different path to it. My Elite Eight matchup in this is Jesus Walks against Good Morning, and then Jesus Walks wins. There's a lot of other sections. In fact, looking at all the sections I have a Final Four for, this is definitely the weakest one, and there's numerous songs in other sections of the bracket where this would have been like the number 2 or number 3 song for me. It just, sometimes you get put in the better section of the bracket and you luck out like that.
Right, exactly. I think this next one, Saint, this one I still can't decide. I might need your help.
Okay, so we start with number 1, Touch the Sky, against number 16, The New Workout Plan. And I love The New Workout Plan, but Touch the Sky is like another song you use an incredible sample for. And then I'm a big fan of old Lupe Fiasco, and Lupe Fiasco murders that song. And most of these, it's like, I give more credit to the songs where Kanye's the best one on, but he's not the best one on this, but he's still very good. Touch the Sky, to me, no-brainer over a New Workout Plan.
Yep. Okay. No-brainer. Also a great video, too. Hilarious. And just overall, a great song from our childhood that has continued to come out. And just, I feel like it comes out in movies here and there. And I remember it being in, I think it was Bend It Like Beckham. Which is such an old, girl soccer movie. But I remember hearing that song being like, I love this song. And my sisters were like, that's Kanye West. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So, no, great decision there, Touch the Sky, for sure.
It's going to take me a second from the fact that you made a Bend It Like Beckham reference. But we'll move on. Number 8.
I was in soccer when I was little, and I love that movie.
I played soccer through high school. I've seen that movie, but not recently. The next matchup is number 8 champion, and then speaking of iconic videos, number 9 Otis, and the music video is what put it over the top for me. Like them in front of the American flag and then driving the car and then the annoying ass screaming noise at the end of the song. Otis beats champion for me.
Oh, this one was so hard. This one is really hard, and I know this sounds lame, but I just feel like I can dance a little more to Champion than I can to Otis, and that's actually what I used to decide, because I really couldn't decide on this one, and I was like, I think I listened to Champion more, because I get my groove on with it, compared to Otis, but I agree, Otis, I mean, that whole background of that song is, and then when that guy is screaming, it's just like, what is this? But it's still so good.
Yeah, I mean, the music video puts it over the top for me, and I feel like we certainly have different things deciding, because what songs are easier to dance obviously is going to have less of an impact in my choices than yours, but nonetheless, we have number 5, Spaceship, against number 12, Ultralight Beam. So this one is, not as difficult as I think a lot of people would make it out to be. Ultralight Beam was a cool song, but, Chance the Rapper absolutely stole the show on that song, and I've had a love-hate relationship with him. It's not Kanye's part on that song is not really noteworthy at all. And Spaceship is an iconic, underrated song. That 1,000% is better than Ultralight Beam.
I agree. I'm going with Spaceship here too.
I was a little worried your time in Chicago would push you over to Ultralight Beam, but
oh, just you wait, that's coming.
I'm happy we're at least on the same page there. Now, number 4, Diamonds from Sierra Leone against number 13, Dark Fantasy. This one, to me, another easy matchup. I would have gone with either of the versions, whether it was Diamonds from Sierra Leone with Jay-Z, which is the remix, but it's probably the more like frequently known one. I actually like just the straight Kanye version a lot better, so the fact that it was that made it a more dominant force for me, so I'd take that one, the number 4 seed, rather easily.
Yep, I'm going with Diamonds here, too.
Okay, now this is where the matchups get difficult because the seeding on this next one was bullshit. We have number 6, Heard Him Say, against number 11, I Wonder. Now, both of these, like, if you asked me off the top of my head to name the 10 best Kanye West songs, these would both be in, but I didn't get to set the bracket. We're simply going off what's been circulating on Twitter, and to be completely honest with you, I have to look back at which one I even picked. So, Rosie, which direction did you go on this one?
I picked Heard Him Say, for sure. I had a friend that said I Wonder was obviously the underrated choice here, which I'm going to have to go with because Heard Him Say, is clearly better, I think. I have to go with it.
Ooh.
I'm doing it.
Well, and I appreciate Heard Him Say a lot, and I didn't even realize till not that long ago that that's like the hook for that song that Adam Levine did was an actual Maroon 5 song. And it really, like, I like Maroon 5 a lot, old Maroon 5, and it really wasn't a very good song, and then Kanye put his spin on it and made it like 10 times a song.
I agree.
He raps better in that song, but I Wonder, the hook is just so good. That's where I have to take I Wonder.
Alright, fair enough. I feel like Maroon 5 with Kanye, who would ever kind of think of that together? So we got to give him credit for that. So that's also why I'm putting Heard Him Say up there too.
Yeah, and I was listening to an interview with Kanye. I forget what it was on. And interviews with Kanye are always an adventure. Sometimes they're tough to get through. But he was talking about, I think they were just happened to be on a plane together or something, and they just thought of doing this song together, and it turned into what was a number 6 seed and what makes it to the second round for you. Now, the next seed is a number 3, Gorgeous, off of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Probably, I think, the best song off the album, or one of the very best songs off the album, against number 14, Homecoming. You mentioned it's weird to see Kanye and Maroon 5. You get Kanye with Coldplay on this song. Now, obviously, Maroon 5 is far superior to Coldplay, but it's a cool, like, mashup still. So what direction did you go with that?
So I agree, Gorgeous is definitely the best song off that album, but I have to go with Homecoming just because flying into Chicago, that is always my number 1 song that I put on. I know that sounds super cheesy, but when you are driving down Lakeshore Drive in that city and you see the skyline and you're looking at Lake Michigan and you're literally playing this song and you see fireworks that have come up from Lake Michigan and you're playing this song in the background, it's incredible. I mean, it gives you chills. So if I didn't live in Chicago, I would say, maybe not. But I think the Coldplay and Kanye here just works. It's great. And I think it's a better mashup than the Maroon 5 and Kanye, actually. I really think it works. And I'm going to have to go with Homecoming.
I agree with you on the mashup. I don't agree with you on the winner of it, but I've never been to Chicago. I've been to Lake Michigan a few times, but I've never been to Chicago, so perhaps that's influencing me. I do think this should have been a higher seed. I had a friend when this song came on that tried to tell me, like, Coldplay is one of the greatest bands of all time, and I was told him to slow his roll a little bit, but that is an awesome song, should have been a higher seed. But Gorgeous, you get Kanye at the peak, not of his rapping, but at his innovation, and then you take peak Kid Cudi. I can't not pick that song.
I know that, and that's a great point. It really is, but we're just gonna have to disagree again.
Okay. And that one, I don't know if I could go either way, but I could see how you want to push Homecoming forward. Now, the next one, there is not really a difficult decision. You get number 7, Family Business, against number 10, Bound To. Bound To is a bad song. Like, I don't get it. It sucks. Like, the song sucks. The music video sucks. It's a terrible song.
Yeah. I remember when that music video came out, and just like I hated Kim Kardashian then. I still hate her now, and it's just like, why? What is this? Why is she on the back of that bike? Yeah. You know. There's no point of her being in this video at all. I'm sorry, but it's just not. I know they were dating then. They weren't married.
No, they weren't.
But yeah, I mean, it's not the greatest song. Don't get me wrong, I still listen to it when it comes on. But yeah, I'm also agreeing with you here too. Family Business.
I was at a friend's house for, I think it was St. Patty's Day weekend a few weeks ago, and they were Chromecasting different like music videos on to the TV, and I think they just had like, it was just going to whatever came up next on YouTube. And the funniest thing in the world is to be in a room with people that don't really listen to rap when the music video for Bound 2 comes on. It's an experience. You have to do it once in your life because... But Family Business also, like, in its own right, I would have probably made that a 5 or 6 seed. Like, it's one of the peak of, like, soulful Kanye. So, that gets through easily to me. And then we have number 2, Paris, against number 15, Late. And Late could have been a higher seed, but this is, again, a no-brainer to me. Paris goes through.
Yeah, I 100% agree, yep.
And then we get on to... Okay, actually, no, we don't get on to because we have to go through the rest. So, I have... My Elite 8, we'll put it this way. We have Touch the Sky, Diamonds from Sierra Leone, Gorgeous, and Paris. And then from there, Gorgeous goes on and Touch the Sky go on. And then ultimately, Gorgeous wins out. I'll say this. It's one of the only songs... or it's the only song in my Final Four that isn't from his first album.
Yeah, that's true. Very good. So I'm actually at a standpoint right here. I'm between Touch the Sky and Homecoming.
There's similar vibes, too, because when you said, this is the song that I listen to when I fly into Chicago, like, I feel like flying into a big city, you'd listen to Touch the Sky, because they're both...
Right.
Yeah, and Lupe's from Chicago, too, isn't he? I think.
Yeah.
So you have both of them from Chicago, so either way it would have worked. I guess I would lean in the direction of Touch the Sky, but like Homecoming does have that like vibesy feel to it.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm leaning towards. I gotta hit Homecoming with the amount of times that I listened to it. When I lived there, there we go. That Homecoming wins that bracket.
Okay, so then we go on to the Donda section. We have a number 1 seed, All Falls Down, against number 16, Addiction. And I may have spoiled this with what I just said, but All Falls Down wins that matchup for me.
Yep, 100%. Okay. Oh yeah, no argument there.
Now this is one of the more difficult matchups, the next one. We have Monster against Heartless.
Oh man.
Heartless is an iconic music video. It's one of the best songs, like, not just because it's a radio song. Normally the radio songs are the worst songs on the album. In this case, it was one of the better songs on 808s, and it had some, like, classic lines. Like, if you're just talking about Kanye's part in Monster against Kanye's part in Heartless, it's definitely Heartless. But Monster is, like, the peak of the production of Kanye. And
right.
Nicki Minaj, like, is an annoying person generally, but her verse on Monster is, like, legendary. So I lean towards
yeah, and
Monster.
if you don't have that memorized, then you obviously don't care about
music. If you don't have it memorized, you're not white.
Yeah, exactly.
So Monster goes through for me.
Yep, I'm going to have to go with Monster too. However, I'm not too keen on Jay-Z's verse in that. I never have been. Compared to Kanye's and Nicki's, I just think his fell short there. But I'm still going to pick Monster.
Even Rick Ross I thought was better in that song than Jay-Z. But nonetheless, it is number 5, Drive Slow, against number 12, Highlights. Drive Slow, like, there was a period where Late Registration was my favorite Kanye album, and Drive Slow is one of my favorite songs off that album. The instrumental is sick. And then there's also J. Cole did a song. He's done remixes to a bunch of Kanye beats, but that beat to me, the beginning of the beat, I just love. So I take Drive Slow in that battle.
Yeah, I know you're probably gonna hate me for this, but I'm gonna have to pick Highlights. I just think that song is great, and I had that. That was probably the first song off of Life of Pablo that I had memorized. That and Fade. Really liked those two, and I know you're probably like, wow, this girl probably doesn't know anything about Kanye. She's not going to pick Drive Slow, which is totally fine, but I'm just gonna wing it here and go with Highlights.
No, I'm like, wow, this girl's bragging about knowing the words to Fade when it's just like one sampled thing repeating the entire song.
I'm sorry.
How is Fame...
You're right, good point.
How is Fame is not the first song that you knew all the words to on Life of Pablo? Like,
that song kind of was annoying at first. It was just really annoying because I feel like we were waiting for the video, and I don't know. You know how he does that? He like releases things late and whatnot, and I was just like, you know what? I'm over this. But Rihanna's part in that is great. Don't get me wrong.
Okay, I thought you were a Rihanna hater for a second, and that wouldn't be stood for on this podcast.
No, I like Rihanna. She's cool. I like Demi Lovato better than Rihanna, but that's a separate discussion.
Rihanna's better than Beyonce, but that's a separate discussion.
Wait, you just broke up. I couldn't hear you. But I have a feeling I know what you said.
We have number 4, Runaway, against number 13, Blood on the Leaves, and as much as I don't really care for Yeezus, Blood on the Leaves was a cool song. Runaway is the greatest produced song Kanye's ever done, though, and Pusha T's verse is incredible.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's going to be Runaway for me, but I also think Blood on the Leaves, the instrumental, everything to that song, I think is pretty good. I think it should have been a higher seed for sure.
Pusha T is like one of those people, every time I listen to one of his songs, I like it a lot, and then I never get around to like consistently listening to him, but his verse on that is awesome. Then we have number 6, Blame Game, against number 11, Roses. I think both of these are seated too low, but to me, Blame Game goes on because like the song itself with Kanye and John Legend, because Kanye kind of made John Legend, like these two are two of the most successful people of our era. And then, speaking of extremely successful people from our era, the ending part with Chris Rock is one of the best parts of any Kanye West song. So Blame Game 1,000,000% goes on, which is kind of sad because I like Roses a lot, but this was a no doubt about it for me.
Yeah, Blame Game for sure. I like Roses too. Great song, great name for a song. But I'm going with Blame Game as well.
Wow. That went right over my head for a second. It was a good dad joke.
Oh my gosh, Tim.
Then you go number 3, The Good Life, versus number 14, Celebration. And again, like this countdown's kind of made me realize how many iconic videos Kanye's had, because Good Life again with T-Pain is like one of those music videos I remember watching on VH1 Countdown or Jumpstart or whatever the hell it was called. So that goes on going away for me.
Oh yeah, in the morning before school when you eat cereal. Oh my gosh, my mom would hate when I had it on before school. But that song always came on. So yeah, definitely Good Life.
Like, what was it like that we woke up and rushed to the TV then? Because when I wake up now, like, I don't want my phone in front of me. I don't want anything in front of me for, like, 2 hours. And then back then, I would wake up, like, early at, like, 5-something to make sure I got a chance to watch music videos before. It was just, like, a strange world pre-YouTube.
Yeah, pre-YouTube, I agree.
Because if you didn't hear the song at like 5:30 in the morning, you weren't gonna hear it that day. Like you didn't have Tidal and Spotify and every Pandora, every other music app back then.
You had your MP3 player that was like $25 back then, and you couldn't even like see the song.
We were stealing songs off LimeWire, so.
Oh yeah, LimeWire. Yep.
LimeWire was a shit back in the day. Some people probably went to jail for that, but like those are the type of people that should get presidential pardons. Those type of people that create things that people really need. Now, number 7, The Glory, against number 10, Get 'Em High. I would have flipped the two seeds of these. Like, Get 'Em High would have been the number 7, and The Glory would have been number 10 for me. I like both, but Get 'Em High is one of the best Kanye songs, and it's also one of the best songs, or best verses that Common's ever had, and another Chicago person for you. So that one goes in easily for me, and I kind of think it's blasphemous that it's a number 10 seed.
Yeah, we're agreeing on a lot more than I thought, but I have a feeling that a lot of brackets went this way, and I haven't checked up on Twitter to see really who was saying what. Ryan was earlier, and a lot of people at the end picked Heard Him Say. I saw that. Maybe one person through Twitter picked The Glory as we were talking about it, but I'm also going to have to go with Get 'Em High here.
No, and I saw Jordan Matthews, the free agent wide receiver right now, play for the Eagles, play for the Bills. He's like a huge Kanye West fan. He did I think it was an abbreviated version of the bracket last night, but I'm pretty sure he came out with Heard Him Say. I've definitely seen a few people come out that way. There are probably 10 or 15 songs I can make the case for. I don't know if that would necessarily be one of them, but I get it nonetheless. Now, number 2, All the Lights, versus number 15, School Spirit, is the last matchup in the Donda section. I think All the Lights is seated way too high. Like, it was a radio song, it was cool, and I like Kid Cudi's part a lot. Kanye's part is just kind of, like, whatever to me. I felt like he was lazy rapping in that song.
Well, it's seeded way too high. No. I think that's a perfect seed.
It's a perfect seed off of popularity. Would I consider it one of, like, the 5 or 6 best Kanye songs? Absolutely not.
I don't know. I mean, that is a song where, I mean, I know we both played high school sports, but you got to tell me that your team, that was like their first pick for your warm-up song was All the Lights. I mean, I know that was ours.
Ooh, no, I think
hockey.
Red Nation by The Game was our pick. we had like the whitest high school ever, and we were out there like playing song that's literally about the Bloods before our game. So
oh my gosh.
But I'm
gonna have to go with All the Lights here.
Yeah, no, I still went with All the Lights.
Feels like playing in high school games again, all that competition feel. Definitely All the Lights.
All the Lights still goes through for me. I just thought it was too high of a seed. And School Spirit's kind of a slept-on song, especially like in the album. If you play it straight through, School Spirit like fits College Dropout perfectly. Now, in the Donda bracket, I have in my Elite 8 All Falls Down and Runaway, which was a very difficult matchup, but I put All Falls Down through, and then Blame Game against Get 'Em High is my Elite 8 matchup, in that bracket. It was a Sweet 16 before. All Falls Down versus Blame Game was one of the most difficult, if not the most difficult matchups in the entire bracket. Ultimately, I put All Falls Down through, but if Blame Game had been in another section of the bracket, specifically Chicago, it definitely would have gone through, and I maybe would have put it through in Saint. So that's not to sleep on that song.
So I have All the Lights and All Falls Down going up against each other, and I'm picking All Falls Down here. Definitely a hard decision, considering All the Lights just gives you the feels every time. You turn it on, gives you that old high school vibe, but All Falls Down's the winner here.
All Falls Down is one of those songs off the initial album, College Dropout, and there's like an old video of him doing it in like a poetry form that's so cool. I like the actual song the most, and the music video is pretty cool for that too, so that goes through to me. And then we get to the Northwest section of the bracket. Baby boomers are still laughing at the fact that he named his first child Northwest. I don't really think it's that funny, but nonetheless. Now, the number 1 seed is Can't Tell Me Nothing against number 16, Amazing, I have no idea how Amazing is a number 16 seed.
Yeah, I agree here. It should not be 16.
With that said, though, I still went with Can't Tell Me Nothing, because that is, like, prime Kanye. It's not, like, his best song, but when I think of Kanye, I think of that song.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm also going with Can't Tell Me Nothing.
The next matchup is So Appalled and Never Let Me Down, 8 versus 9. Amazing should have been higher seeds in both those songs, but I'll put through So Appalled because I'm a big fan of Sci-Hi. But, yeah, that to me was one of the weaker matchups of the entire bracket.
Oh, yeah, this for sure. I mean, I kind of think you just have to go with So Appalled here. And the fact that they're back-to-back, 8 and 9, doesn't make sense at all, but we didn't make this. We were just getting it from the internet, so we're going to both go with So Appalled.
Now, the next one is 2 good songs, but another easy decision for me. Last Call is the number 5 seed against Hey Mama, number 12 seed. And I know people like to pick number 12 seeds to upset number 5 seeds. That's not going to be the case here because Last Call should have probably been a number 1 or 2 seed, I think.
I don't agree with you on that. I'm going to pick Hey Mama here. I mean, come on, you're just always bopping your head to that song. That's a good song. I mean, so is Last Call, don't get me wrong, but I'm going to upset here and go with Hey Mama.
You're going to be disappointed the way the rest of my bracket goes then, but we'll get back to that. Devil in a New Dress against Real Friends. Devil in a New Dress has an awesome instrumental, but J. Cole legit did a better version of the actual song called Voluminati that's way better than Devil in a New Dress. It's a cool instrumental. It's not that great of a song. Real Friends is probably the best second phase Kanye song.
Yeah, and Real Friends is what? That's a 13 seed? Yeah, no, should be higher, I think, and I'm also going with Real Friends.
Yeah, I'm not sure how Devil in a New Dress was the number 4 seed, to tell you the truth. But, again, we didn't make this bracket. Now, number 6, Crack Music against number 11, New Slaves. Like I just said, I've been listening to The Game a lot, so Crack Music goes through for me.
Really? Oh, I didn't like The Game in that song. No, I have to go with New Slaves here.
Ooh.
I mean, I think definitely the instrumental part, too. Even, like, it's just good. It's just good. I'd definitely go with New Slaves.
Now, probably the best Kanye instrumental, I think, is Flashing Lights, number 3, or the most calming instrumental. I don't know if I'd say best instrumental, but, like, if you're...
Calming, yes.
If you've ever, like, sat on the beach at night and listened to Flashing Lights, like, you feel like you made it. So, you have number 3, Flashing Lights, against number 14, Famous. Famous, again, is, like, one of those songs, if it comes on at a party, you and your bros, and I know, Rosie, you can definitely relate to that, will scream this at each other, especially the Taylor Swift part, but Flashing Lights definitely goes through for me.
Oh, yeah, Flashing Lights. Oh, my gosh, that song also gives you chills. So many of these songs I'm saying gives me chills. But this one for sure, Flashing Lights.
Now, this next matchup is another one where I don't agree on the seeds. You have Love Lockdown against Big Brother. And Big Brother's grown on me. It's a cool song. It's Kanye paying homage to Jay-Z. But Love Lockdown is, like, one of the best produced songs. The beat, like, that's the definition. When someone's like, oh, why do I need to buy Beats? I have these $10 headphones. Listen to that song, and I don't even own Beats.
With those on.
Yeah, with those on, and you won't ask that question ever again.
Oh, for sure. Turn the bass up in your car. Yep, exactly. Love Lockdown for sure.
And, like, I loved Kanye prior to this. 808s is probably his 5th best album, but this is a song where Kanye went from one of the best rappers of his era to people saying Kanye's a genius. Like, the production quality of this song. Because it was so different than what he had previously done.
I'm nervous for this next one, what you're going to say.
I'm not that nervous because I can... It's number 2, Through the Wire versus number 15, No Church in the Wild. I am a Frank Ocean fanboy, and Frank Ocean absolutely is the best person on that song, and anytime Frank Ocean does songs with Jay-Z or Kanye West, they end up being incredible. And Kanye West is actually a Frank Ocean fanboy. But Through the Wire goes through for me. The chipmunk sound in the background and everything, I just can't go against Through the Wire.
I'm so happy that you said Through the Wire. I was like, please, let's not disagree on this, because this, you'll see, it'll make it far through my bracket, but for sure, I listen to Through the Wire. I tell you guys this probably like 4 times a week.
Yeah, it's one of those songs that I remember listening to. I think Jay-Z was on, it might have been Howard Stern. It was some show where he was talking about his latest stuff, and they asked him about this, and he was just going on and on and on about how the original version, where Kanye legit had, like, metal in his jaw or whatever, what he talks about in that song, and you can't even really understand what he's saying, but it's just so soulful and passionate, and it kind of speaks to the workaholic aspect of him.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
That has to go through for me. With that said, in the next round, I had Love Lockdown taking down Through the Wire.
What?
I had Love Lockdown has really grown on me.
Since when? Middle school? I mean, what? Love Lockdown over Through the Wire. Come on, Ken.
It was difficult, but I put that through, and both of them lost. Not to Flashing Lights, not to Can't Tell Me Nothing, but to the ultimate winner of this section of the bracket, the number 5 seed, Last Call.
Really?
Last Call legit is one of those songs where I don't know if other people think about this, but I think about this. If you had a test where you had to recite every word of the song perfectly or you died, like Last Call would be high up on the list of songs I would feel comfortable. And it's not even a short song. It's a lot, not the voicemail part at the end, but like the song part, 1,000%. That and Forever, the Drake version, I'd kill the game with those songs.
Well, I hope you never get to that point in your life where someone's like, yeah, you have to sing this song unless you die.
I hope not, but like, I'm prepared if that situation presents itself. I have probably at least 3 or 4 songs down that I could get through if need be. But what song came out of that section for you? Was it Through the Wire?
So I'm actually still deciding because I'm between Flashing Lights and Through the Wire, and then I have Real Friends above them, but I gotta go, I guess, with Through the Wire. You're right, I gotta go with Through the Wire for the whole thing. But Flashing Lights, that's coming in a hot second. I want to pick Flashing Lights, but I'm in love with Through the Wire. I listen to it so much that that has to win overall.
Yeah, and I feel like I disrespected Flashing Lights by only making it to the Sweet 16, and I actually had Love Lockdown. Like, I was really feeling Love Lockdown today. Push comes to shove, I might go with Flashing Lights in that, but either way, Last Call wins that. So, we get to our final 4, Rosie. We have Last Call for me, number 5 seed coming out of the Northwest region. We have All Falls Down, a number 1 seed coming out of the Donda region. We have Gorgeous coming out of the Saint region as a number 3 seed. And then Jesus Walks comes out as the number 1 seed out of the Chicago bracket, which again, there's 2 or 3 different songs placed in other brackets that had they been in the Chicago section may have dethroned this, but that's the way things shook out. So that's my final 4. Who's in your final 4?
Alright, so my final 4 in the Northwest side is number 2, Through the Wire. In Donda, I have number 1, All Falls Down. And then in Chicago, I have seed 15, the 15th seed, Father Stretch My Hand,
Jesus.
and 14 seed Saint Side for Homecoming. So my right side is definitely the underdog side here.
Okay, so the 2 songs that go through to the final for me, and actually, the matchup on the left, the number 5 seed Last Call and the number 1 seed All Falls Down are probably my 2 favorite Kanye songs. So if I was building my own bracket, those 2 would have been the songs that ended up in the final, but they instead met in the final 4. Last Call dethrones All Falls Down, and I feel like All Falls Down would be the favorite entering. Like, All Falls Down is Duke or Villanova. Last Call is like the team lurking that could maybe make a run. They have some NBA players, so Last Call goes through from that side, and then from the other side you have Jesus Walks against Gorgeous, and Gorgeous, like I said, was the only matchup, the only song that would be after the first 3 albums that made it this far, but it goes through for me. I'm not really sure what the point of the Raekwon verse was, but it was one of the best 3 verses of Kanye, like, ever. It's pissed off Kanye, and I love, like, chip on your shoulder Kanye.
So I just gotta know now. What's your pick then?
Last Call.
Last Call.
Last Call is just hit the part where he's singing, "This is the last call." Like, I can't sing it all, so I'm gonna spare you of that, but like, that's just, I don't know, I love that song. I have College Dropout in my car, so that makes me a little biased because that's the one that I, like, listen to probably the most out of all of them. But I listen to Graduation a lot, Late Registration a lot, like, I get around with Kanye stuff. That's the one that comes out on top for me.
Alright. Well, fair enough. That's good. You proved your point for sure. Obviously, we disagree, but that's okay. That's what this bracket's all about. So mine's definitely coming down to Through the Wire, obviously, and Homecoming.
Ooh. Yeah, you know, those 2 songs, I don't even think either one of them made it out of my Sweet 16, so I might not be the most qualified person. In fact, I don't even think Through the Wire made it to my Sweet 16. Neither one did. Homecoming didn't make it out of my initial round. So we are. You said at one point in the podcast that we were more on the same page than you thought? I think you spoke a little soon on that.
I think I did. I agree. I think we spoke way too soon, but I am going through this career phase of my life where I'm working super hard, trying to prove myself, and I just feel like Through the Wire kind of symbolizes that, and Kanye did that, obviously, after the accident, and having that Full Metal mouth of wire. He was such a workaholic, so I'm going to go with Through the Wire just because of, you know, what I'm doing right now and what this song means to me and how much I listen to it. It speaks to me, so I'm going with Through the Wire. That's my pick.
You've sold me on Through the Wire. I slept on it too much in this countdown. Like, it's not one of his best, like, rapping songs, but just, like, the passion behind it is what music is all about. So, you've sold me on that. I still wouldn't put it past Last Call, because Last Call has, like, a lot of the same feel for me, except it's just a better song, I think. The second verse of Last Call is, like, one of the most fire Kanye verses, period. And it's, like, old Kanye, so it mixes, like, the soulful part with rapping. So that goes through for me. One last thing. If we were doing a bracket or whatever, where you had to come up with your top 3 Kanye albums in order, just don't even think about it. Top of your head, go.
Oh my gosh. Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, The Life of Pablo, and Graduation.
Oh my god, you put The Life of Pablo second?
You didn't literally let me think about it.
That was the point, though. Like, off the top of your head, which one do you want to listen to the most? I would go College Dropout, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, and then I struggle between Graduation and Late Registration. And there's been points where I thought Late Registration was Kanye's best album, so I'll go with Late Registration. Like, Graduation is the one that gives you the most feels because you picture each song that comes on in Graduation, you picture where was I singing this song with a lot of people, because it was his most commercially successful album. It has the best music videos probably of all the other albums, but it's also one of those things, like, when you get into music a lot or into anything, you don't like people that are like, oh yeah, they start naming every song they like and it's all off of one album. And I feel like the people that say Graduation is the best Kanye album don't really know that much about Kanye. Like, they just know the popular songs. They'd be like, oh yeah, Stronger's my favorite Kanye song, and Bound.
Oh god.
Like, that's, so, that turns me off the album a little bit.
I think I say The Life of Pablo is because I saw that tour. And I think, I don't know, I think when you see him live and you see him perform those songs you've been listening to over and over again, it's just different. And so that's why I'm throwing that album in there, just because we were able to see him in Chicago, and it was amazing. It really was. I just think that album is underrated.
It is underrated.
I don't think people give him enough credit for it.
It's underrated, and it's, like, significantly better than Yeezus. It gives me hope, because there's all these theories about the amount of days in between Kanye albums that we should be getting relatively close to another album. It gives me hope, because leading into the singles coming out for that, I was kind of down on Kanye. I was like, I loved first 3 or 4 albums Kanye. Since then, I've grown. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy was one of those albums initially where everyone, like, lost their shit over, and it took me a while to really get the brilliance of that album, but I get it now. So that album goes on. The thing about the tours is interesting, because I saw the Damn tour with Kendrick Lamar last summer, and I would still rank Damn as the 3rd best Kendrick Lamar album, so I don't know if I'm
really okay.
I don't know if I'm swayed as much on that, but the Kendrick Lamar part's probably a different discussion for a different time. But I don't know. I guess it's what album can you, when it came out, did you listen to the most over and over and over without getting sick of? Now, Kanye's a little bit different because, like, we were of age to know when albums were coming out with, like, Kendrick Lamar or Drake or people like that, J. Cole. Like, Kanye started when we were in elementary school, so it was different, but I don't know. I remember discovering the albums, I guess.
Yeah, I guess, see, here's the thing. I just feel like you said it right with how Graduation is, like, a very commercial and whatnot, however it worked. You know what I mean? And those are the songs I feel like I remembered the most because, like you said, like, when you were with people, like, what were you guys doing when you remember you hearing this song, like with Good Life, and how we saw it on VH1 when we were little. We weren't even that little. But I just feel like that over and over again, probably that album, until Life of Pablo came out, because I knew I was headed to Chicago, and I was just like, ooh, it would be really cool if I saw him on tour, and then we did. So.
No, that's certainly true. And Graduation, like, there's a lot, I don't even say mainstream in, like, a negative connotation, because, like, there's a lot of times where people say, oh, they'll just, if you ask them, what's the best Eminem album, they'll say Recovery, and that's just, like, stupid. It's his most commercially successful. It's, like, not even in the top 5 of his best albums, but it's the one that people know. Like, Graduation was interesting because it was super good and also super commercially successful, so he kind of figured out the way to merge the two, which is pretty awesome, because even, like, most of the times once you reach the mainstream, the next albums after that stay mainstream, and I don't feel like that was the same way for Kanye. Like, if you ask the average person that only listens to the radio to name their favorite song off of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, they wouldn't know a song. But Graduation is like 1,000% his most commercially successful, and if you're ranking covers of Kanye albums, Graduation's number 1.
Yeah, that's true. Man, you know what other bracket they should make?
What?
Kanye Madness. Clearly it should be Beyonce Madness, because there is madness around Beyonce and Jay-Z right now going on tour again.
There is, and I would be down for Jay-Z Madness. Like, I appreciate Beyonce. I know, like, people, including you, will probably get triggered by this. Like, I don't know, I just get, like, I liked Beyonce in, like, the early 2000s, that Beyonce. Now it's, like, a little too much, like, based off of Reputation for me.
See, I would prefer this Beyonce over early 2000s, because that is her commercial point. Like, that is where everyone kind of knew what was coming out and blah, blah, blah. Now it's like, you never know what you're going to get, and that's the best part about it. And I feel like now Kanye's almost the same way. Like, you don't know what you're going to get, and I feel like when we were little, you not with Kanye so much, but with Beyonce, like, you just kind of knew.
But I liked it like that with Beyonce, because I think if I had to, like, name the best Beyonce song on the top of my head, it would be Naughty Girl, probably, which comes off of, like, her...
What?
Yes.
No! You did not just say that.
I did. That's an awesome song.
I guess, if you're in a club, grinding to a wall.
No, and it's not because of that, because this song came out when I was, like, 7. So I can promise you the first time I heard Naughty Girl was probably less likely to be on a club and more likely to be on Now That's What I Call Music. But that would definitely be number 1 off the top of my head. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Drunken Love would be high.
Yeah.
What's Love on Top is like an all-time great wedding song.
Great song.
So, I don't know. I'd have to think about that. I don't know. I could not go 64 songs deep for Beyonce. I can tell you that much.
Yeah. See, I feel like I probably couldn't do that with Jay-Z. Maybe if I did some studying, for sure. But with Beyonce, that's just easy. Like Kanye, this is easy.
No.
Jay-Z, I would have to do a little work.
Jay-Z would have to do work. Kendrick I could do without thinking. Drake I could do without thinking. J. Cole I could do without thinking about it. So... definitely some interesting options for the future. Rosie, this was awesome. We'll definitely have to do this again. When we get away from our day jobs as doing sports and pretend we know a lot about rap music and we're qualified to be doing this, I'm sure we'll think of another great countdown soon.
Yeah, this was fun, Tim. I really hope we do it again.